Well, good morning, my friend. Welcome to the Pastor's Podcast. Good to have you with me today as we are on Thursday and getting ready for the weekend. Looking forward to a great week here as we have homecoming Sunday, this coming Sunday, trying to get everybody back into church and see the fall part of the year kicked off well. Going to cool down a little bit. Today's going to be the warmest day, and then we start cooling down. And I'm looking forward to a great fall and seeing what God can do in the church as we go out to reach people for Jesus Christ. I hope that you've been faithful to church this week. Now Labor Day week is done. Let's move forward. I know this weekend, for those who are sports enthusiasts, NFL opens up. Now, let's not stay out of church. Let me just say this. You can record games. You ought to be in church. And even if you couldn't record games, you ought to be in church. Church is more important. When you're putting football in front of God, let me tell you something. That's a dangerous position to be in. God help those believers who would do something like that. I mean that. You guys can mess around with God so long and God gets tired of it. And his spirit will not always strive with man. You can stay home and you can say, well, you roll your eyes and say, I could care less what the preacher says. I'm telling you right now, God doesn't mess around. If you're his child, he'll chasten you. Now, if you're not his child, you can do whatever you want to. And maybe that's part of the problem. Some of you just never got saved and you know it. And so you don't really care. You act spiritual, you tell everybody, but you're just not saved. Well, then get saved. I'd rather be saved and face the chastening hand of God than to not be saved, do what I want to do and burn in hell for an eternity. Your choice. But let's make sure that we're faithful to church this weekend as we get ready to go out and reach people for Jesus Christ. Well, today, I want to talk about being purposed aforetime. In Daniel chapter 1 and verse 8, the scripture says, but Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore, he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now, the key to Daniel's life is not that he did not wait until the pressure to make the decision was upon him, but he decided before the decision had to be made. Two incidents in Daniel's life show how he purposed before the decision is what helped him to make the decision. The first incident was when he faced was when he faced with eating the king's meat. One may ask, what was so bad about eating this meat? Well, it was bad because this meat had been offered to idols. Daniel purposed not to eat something that was not blessed by his God. You see, this meat had been offered to idols, and Daniel said, I'm not gonna eat this meat that is offered to a heathen God. He purposed to serve God no matter what happened. He understood that serving God wasn't going to be easy. He knew that, but he did not know how that decision would be tested. But when they put that meat in front of him and told him, eat it, is when everyone around him eating that meat, and when everybody around him was eating the meat, that the pressure to eat the meat was felt, but he followed through on his purpose and did not eat the meal. Daniel would have compromised like all of the other Israelites around him had he not purposed aforetime that he would not defile himself. The second incident is when a law was made that no one could pray to any god or any person other than Darius the king. When Daniel heard this law, he did not flinch in what he always did. Daniel always prayed 3 times a day. And just because a law told him not to pray, he realized there was a higher law. And that demanded him to pray to God, to the God of heaven. When faced with the pressure of not to pray and the impending mouths of the lions eating him, he kneeled his knees 3 times a day and prayed and gave thanks before his God. Here it is, as he did aforetime. What was the secret to Daniel not folding when the pressure was not to pray was great? That secret was that he purposed aforetime. Now, you will never do right, my friend, when others are doing wrong if you don't purpose in your heart aforetime that you're going to do right despite what everybody else does. You cannot wait until the pressure's on you to choose to do right, but you must purpose aforetime to choose to do right. Those who have done right when others were pressuring them to compromise did right because they purposed aforetime that they would do right. You've got a purpose before the pressure's upon you that you're going to do right. You had a purpose aforetime that you'll be faithful to church. You have the purpose aforetime that you're going to tell your boss, if he tells you got to work on Sunday, no, I'm not going to work on Sunday. I'm not going to miss church. You got a purpose aforetime that you'll do God's will for your life, because the time will come when a greater opportunity, or an opportunity you want to do, will cause you to be pulled away from God's will. But you got a purpose aforetime. I want to do God's will, whether I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now or not. I'm going to do God's will for my life. You got a purpose aforetime. However, you must also purpose aforetime that you'll not change your purpose when it is difficult to continue. Many have undone the right decisions in difficult times because they did not purpose aforetime that they would not undo undo the difficult decisions. You see, when in times of ease, it's easy to say I want to do it, but all of a sudden difficulties come and you want to change. No, you don't change because of difficulties. But you got a purpose aforetime that when the difficulties come, I'm not changing my decision. I've made it, sticking with it, not move it. If I die, I die. But I want to die doing what I believe is the right thing to do. You see, the only way that you protect yourself is you got a purpose aforetime. Make the decision now to do right. Never revisit your decision again. No matter what the pressure to change is, you've got to decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do right no matter what everybody else says. I'm going to do right. My friend, that's the secret. That's the secret to not changing when the pressure around you tells you to change. You do right. My friend, you'll always be glad you did the right thing. Well, I hope this is a great help to you today. Now, let's remember today, be good to everyone. Everyone's having a tough time. Have a great day, my friend.